All right, SML. Welcome to Team Drafting for Dummies. We got the team draft coming up. I think we're almost 24 hours past the Super Bowl. So you guys voted on some of your the best team builders in the SML. So we've got some of them here. We've got, what do we have? Five Simbardis between the three of you here. So this will be some inside tips on what we think of some of the teams and what we would do if we got said teams. Everybody ready to jump into this?
Excited.
All right.
Yes, sir.
So let's
Way to
start.
go.
Let's start right off the bat. We'll start with the AFC East, and we got the Jets. What do you guys think about the Jets? I know, Dan. This is the team you looked at for a little bit. What do you think about the Jets?
Yeah, first I want to give a shout out to Coach P wearing my high school football jersey all the way back from '95. So shout out to Coach P on the high school jersey. Anyways, Jets are very intriguing. They're probably a team that will go higher than they should if you're looking at just overalls or you're looking at just kind of a one or two season. But you're looking over the long haul, the whole cycle. They've got a great quarterback. They've got extra picks from the still from the Seahawks trade. They've got some speed on defense in the secondary. The linebackers. They got decent run stoppers. They have no pass rush. That's one big weakness. They don't have a real running back. They got a rookie that potentially could be developed if you're a good running back owner. And then wide receiver, they're pretty decent at. They got a young rookie that I think could be developed well. They got a few other pieces. So to me, they are one of the more intriguing young teams out there. There is one thing I'm a little worried about, and I know kind of it's a split down the 50-50 line around the Madden community, whether or not passing traits matter for QBs. But Zach Wilson is paranoid. So if you're afraid of that type of thing, you might want to stay away from the Jets.
Yeah, and it sounds like he was star dev, which is kind of surprising as well, being the second pick in the draft. But what about you, Feds? Anything stick out with this team? Right now, I have them going in the mock draft to QP at 26. Um, you think that's even realistic?
Yeah, they're. I think they could have ended up higher if Wilson had ended up superstar. Right now, you're going to need to spend that first season probably putting the ball in the air a lot to try and bump him up. But he has good stats right out the bat, and you have good receivers, so you should be able to pass. This is a team that I feel could fall just based off of overalls are not very good. It's not a super experienced team. It's not really like a win now immediately. Um, but as far as some of those teams go in the bottom third or bottom half, I feel like this is a team that you can get and develop and turn them into something good, which is very enticing to a lot of guys. I know this is a team I could see like somebody like Clink jumping on for those extra picks and a lot of young players he can dev. So there's a lot of good like building blocks here. I love the wide receiver core. This would be a blast for me for sure. Just with Elijah Moore, Denzel Mims, both 92 speed, 21, 23. But that paranoid trait that Dan was talking about, I personally try staying away from those. So that hurts the Jets for me as well.
All right, and what about you, Prime? What would you do with this team if somehow, and we'll assume this on every team, but let's assume you don't take the Colts, and for whatever
Yeah.
reason you're like, I want the Jets number one. What would you even do with this team right off the bat?
Yeah, I think Faz hit the nail right on the head. You got to develop your rookie quarterback. He's a star dev. I know there was some blowback a little bit that he was just only a star dev, but he's got 83, 84 speed, kind of an Andrew Luck type rating set. A big arm, 94 arm. He's got decent accuracy traits to where after season one, if you're an okay passer, a good passer, you're gonna get him a superstar pretty easy, assuming Madden is the same with how they do development or close to it. Now you got Elijah Moore on the outside, 92 speed, a little bit slower than you may hope, but he's got really high change of direction. What my goal would be is just to air it out first few seasons, get those rookies up, and then come season 3 or 4, some guys are gonna make some tough cuts. They're not gonna sign their guys. People can't manage their cap. That's when you swoop in. You got to develop franchise quarterback at this point, and you have the cap space to go out and make some moves. And I think the Jets could really start picking up mid-cycle, but they're definitely not the team to pick in the top 10 or top 15 slots in the draft to me.
Yeah, I think this year having only the Seattle pick and then the Carolina second round pick, that's not as much. They're not nearly as attractive as they were last year, even with the rookie quarterback. But The other problem is going to be the other teams in the division. And one of those teams in the division that isn't going to be a problem, though, is the Patriots. So with the Patriots, what do you think about this team, Faz?
The Patriots, man, this is a team that, I mean, I crossed them off my board pretty much immediately just due to play style. They're old, so I mean, Gilmore's already 30, McCourty's 34, Hightower's 31. Those are your three best players overall wise. Even after that, you've got some, your offensive linemen are in your top 10, 28, 28, 29. So, this is a team that you're going to have to look to either win immediately or you're going to try and make some trades, ship some guys out, and try and stock up on picks. The big thing for me is just looking at Mac Wilson with only 85 throw power. You're going to need to really develop your run game. Sony Michel, only 88 speed, kind of hurts that. They don't have a lot of weapons on the outside. I don't see a ton of reason to, really be excited about this team outside of being a Patriots fan. We saw Matt turned Yushi into something very good. He's 22, so you could have a nice start on pass rush. But other than that, this team seems pretty dry. Two good tight ends. Maybe you can trade. I feel like this is a team you have to get, and you have to start trading some pieces, pretty much immediately. Be very aggressive with your player movement, and just try and, add picks or pieces that fit your style to kind of salvage it a little bit.
Like bringing in like a Drew Lock or something. That makes sense.
Yeah, bringing in a Drew Lock. You can trade J.C. Jackson pretty quickly.
Yeah. So Prime, I have them mocked at 32, regardless of who ends up at 32. What do you think about that?
Yeah, the problem with the Patriots is they're an incredibly boring team. They have a lot of deals that they handed out this offseason where it seemed like Belichick went crazy. Got a lot of veteran veteran players where not that useful in Madden. We've already hit on Mac Jones, who he's kind of slow, 79 speed. You're probably gonna be able to develop the guy at some point, but he's never gonna be anything too special, I don't think. Definitely just the worst team. I would never pick them. Them or the Texans. It's a toss up, but the flip side is you're gonna have to play the Bills, who are loaded. You're gonna have to play the Jets, who are gonna develop well, and the Dolphins, who are another really strong Madden team in your division. So I think that actually puts the Patriots at 32.
All right, Dan. If you end up with the Patriots somehow, what would you do with this team? What's your first move?
Well, first move is I got to figure out how long guys are gonna play this cycle. So last cycle we saw your X factors, your special, your superstars. They went longer than we thought. Prime took advantage of that, built a nice team one season based on that. So I need to know that fact right off the bat. So I'm going to sim a bunch of seasons. I'm going to see how long it takes for these guys to regress, because the defense can be almost an elite level defense if you get a little bit more pass rush again, but the secondary is almost already there. They're just old. Defense is solid. Offensively, yeah, you gotta find a better running back. You gotta probably find a better quarterback. Unfortunately, Mac Jones at 85 throw power is probably not going to be good enough, and he doesn't have anything really else to develop off of that. So maybe he has a good preseason. Maybe they bump him up a little bit through preseason. That is a long shot. But you got no offensive weapons outside of some decent tight ends. Even them are just kind of average based on Madden development. So you're going to need to find some speed. You're going to need to find a quarterback. You got a lot of work to do on the offensive end.
All right. So you guys kind of hit on the two other teams in this division. Let's take a look at those teams. The Bills, probably I would say the best team in this division. What do you think about the Bills, Prime?
Yeah, you start off with Josh Allen. I know he's your boy.
Oh, yeah.
He just got a huge contract. So that's, people sometimes make a big deal when a player gets paid in real life, but more often than not in Madden, you're gonna have to pay something similar or more. Josh Allen did get a big contract. He's going to develop nicely, especially if you're a good passer. The defense is good. They've got some solid receivers, and right out the gate, I feel like you have one step ahead of some other teams in that division. Even the Dolphins, who have a good defense, they still have some young pieces that need to develop. So at least through season 2, you should have the best team in your own division. So yeah, I like the Bills a lot. I think Josh Allen's going to be a great player for somebody, and that defense is going to be tough to play against.
Yeah, I think also kind of a sleeper player on that team, and Paulie might like him. Matt Breida with 94 speed is going to be one of the faster running backs. So for the Bills, Dan, I've got the Bills going number 9 actually to Faz. So what do you think? You think they'll be there for him, or do you think he'll even jump on them if they're there?
Yeah, I think they'll be there. As you know, Prime said, they're the best team in this division on paper. They start out with some attractive things. You got a good cornerback, you got a good safety, you got a good user, middle linebacker, defensive line is pretty solid. Again, pass rush is an issue. Again, assuming pass rush is not as easy as it had been maybe a few seasons ago or a few Maddens ago. Everything's on Josh Allen, though, but you do have to pay attention on Josh Allen, what type of abilities come across onto the CFM. So one thing you got to be aware of is that abilities that you play on in exhibition or even in MUT are not going to carry over into CFM. I think I heard that he doesn't have gunslinger carrying over. He does have escape artist. He doesn't have guns. So one thing to look at. To me, this team is kind of in the middle of the. Are they young to develop? Are they great? I don't think they're great. I don't think they're young to develop, but they're definitely really good. So depending on kind of where you're looking at your style, if you like to pass it, that's great. Take this team. Breida is Breida. I'm not a big fan. He gets hurt every year, falls down on the wind blows by him, and they have no one else. So I think you're gonna have to invest in running back eventually.
All right, Faz. So let's say you do take this team. What's the first thing you're gonna do?
Hitting on the Breida point, I think that's a good point. He's a good fill-in for one season, but I would not want to be relying on him for the full cycle. So, after season 1, I would definitely be looking to draft a halfback for this team. Big key will be developing pass rush. They're a little weaker there. Your secondary is very good. Trey White is a stud. They have 2 good young cornerbacks, and Teron Johnson, Levi Wallace, both fast. And they should develop decently well for a few seasons. Your safeties are a little old with Hyde and Poyer, so you have to be ready to inject some youth there. But I believe Hyde is superstar, so regression might not hit him too bad. But this is a fun team to especially if you want to put the ball in the air. Stephon Diggs, from what we've seen with route running, he is going to be a problem. His route running numbers, I have them here. He's got 96, 97, 94 route running. I think everybody's going to realize pretty quickly that's a big deal. He's going to be extremely difficult to guard. And then having Trey White on the other end is going to make it much easier for you to defend, similar receivers. So I think this team has a lot of good pieces in place. They're definitely high on my list. And I think as long as you start kind of focusing on your defense, it seems like blitzing's a little better. So if you can, use blitzes and use them effectively to kind of help develop your pass rush, get your younger guys like Ed Oliver and Espinosa some pressure, some sacks. You can start to develop that. You could, really turn this into an elite level defense to go with a very good offense.
All right, so the last team in the AFC East is going to be the Dolphins. You can see they've got actually the first 2 picks of the 49ers, but they're missing their own first-round pick this year. Dan, what do you think about the 49 or the Dolphins here?
Yeah, I got the Dolphins into my top 5 of most exciting young teams to build. They've got speed everywhere at the wide receiver. They've got a decent enough QB in Tua if you can handle the left-handed QB. 88 throw power, I think it's going to be decent enough. It's not ideal. Talk about Zach Wilson at the Jets. His is 94, Tua is 88, so it's definitely a big drop, but it's good enough. They got, again, some young running backs. I don't think they're worth developing, but I think you can try it depending on how much speed matters there. Defense, again, had 2 great corners. They got a young free safety, first-round pick. That's going to be a great 21-year-old developing free safety. They got some good linebackers, decent defensive linemen, some that you can develop. So if you're looking for a young, fun team, lots of speed at the wide receiver, this is your team to take if you can deal with Tua or trade them for 2 first-round picks.
All right, so this team, like Dan said, I think it is one of the more exciting teams. You've got a decent amount of draft capital to go with a young team, Waddle with the 97 speed. But I've got them going number 5 to Meats. And what do you think about that, Faz?
They certainly fit the mold. Tua's going to be able to move, so he's going to use that, and it seems like throwing on the run is not much of a hindrance in this game. So that's going to be a prime target for him. The wide receiver core, like Dan said, is loaded. You have 97 speed with Waddle, who's going to obviously develop. He's most likely by the end of the cycle going to be a 99 overall receiver. Will Fuller has 95 speed. They have Jakeem Grant, I believe it is, with 94 speed. So this team is fast everywhere. Pretty deep in the secondary. I'd probably be looking to move some of them. Byron Jones probably. This is assuming also that Xavier Howard doesn't get traded. I know he requested a trade recently. But I'd probably be looking to move.
He just redid
he signed
his
a
deal,
contract
I think,
fast.
You did? Okay,
Yeah.
never mind. So you're good on Xavier. So yeah, I might be trying to move a Byron Jones or see if somebody bites on a Jason McCourty for a season, maybe a win now team, Justin Coleman even. You have Noah Iganabe.
Yeah,
He's a 21-year-old corner. I would make sure to get him playing time pretty much immediately, so maybe ship out a corner to make a spot for him. So this is a team, extra picks. If you play your cards right, you could really turn this into a very special team for sure.
All right. Prime, what do you think? What would you do with this team day one?
Yeah, I think you have to be a good player for this Dolphins team. Not everybody's going to, as we've seen last cycle, Dolphins were a good team to develop last cycle. It never quite happened. Paulie's a good player, so you also have to be a good developer of teams. So you look at Tua, who he's only 82 speed, and people say that might be a good fit for Meats. Meats is used to escape artists, and he's used to like 90 speed plus in his quarterbacks, and with escape artists, it seems like they have 100 sometimes. I don't know how good of a fit that is. Also, with no good running back, I can see some guys struggling early with this team. Now, if they're a good player, if they can figure out the quarterback position, are they going to stick with Tua? Are they going to develop him? Or are they going to trade him off right off the bat? Because his rookie year is gone. Everybody knows their rookie year is the best year to get some development points. I don't know. I'm not completely sold on this team. I do like what they have at receiver. Personally, I would trade Tua, hopefully within the first season, and try to find that franchise guy with a big arm and try to drop some bazooka balls into Waddle's hands.
All right. So that's going to do it for the AFC East. Let's move on to the AFC North, where the first team we've got there is the Browns. And Faz, what do you think about this team? It seems like they're pretty much loaded everywhere.
You turn the game on, you start playing your games, and that's probably all you have to do. This team is loaded everywhere. Garrett, Chubb, Ward, Beckham. The offensive line is good, which seems like it's going to matter this season. Baker Mayfield is very good right off the bat. I don't think he's superstar, is he?
No, he's just star.
Just star. But either way, with all your weapons, you should be able to develop him. I would just make sure you don't make the Woods mistake. I would not hold on to Kareem Hunt. I would make sure that you get some value out of him. I know that fatigue and injuries are supposed to play a factor this season, but you should be able to get somebody decent enough to play the backup running back spot. I would, move Hunt if you can pretty quickly. Try and get your best kind of value out of him. But the rest of this team, you can probably, for the most part, kind of let it ride, and they're going to develop and they're going to be very good.
All right, so Prime, I've got them in my mock going to me at number 2. Let's say I just lose my mind and I pick somebody else. How far down do you think these guys go?
I think they're still a top 10 team because there's a lot of talent on just that defense is loaded. The offense is loaded. What may cause them to fall is Baker Mayfield being a star dev player. But he's got a huge arm, 90 short accuracy, 85 mid and 86 deep. He's got a 91 throw on the run. He's got great, just really good attributes. And when you have the receivers like they do, the running game to support it, there should be no problem to develop this quarterback. They should go top 10, and I don't think Baker Mayfield should be a hindrance on taking this team. I think they're just set for the cycle. And if you wanted to, you could always I'd have to check the rules, but I think you can trade Baker Mayfield if you want to get kinky with it, and send him to somebody and get a rookie quarterback in. Pair that with that young, probably going to be expensive roster coming up, and then have a rookie deal 4 seasons through the cycle. I don't know. I'm just saying.
All right, Dan, what would you do with this team day one?
Oh, I would erase every player because I can't stand the Browns. No, just kidding. Yeah, they're probably top 3, ready to go out of the box, win it first season type of team. They also got a rookie fast receiver. We'll see what happens. You got to keep an eye if Baker Mayfield signs a contract here. I don't think he will, but if he does, that might be a factor. Cap will be an issue because there some of their younger players are hitting, second, third, fourth years. But with Garrett there, with the speed in the secondary, and to be honest, they were that this year too. If maybe a little bit better. Sorry, Woods. Play was there in Cleveland. They could have made some noise this year. So I highly expect this to be a really hot commodity team, and they're going to be good right off the bat. There's not much I can tell you what to do with them. Just keep an eye on your cap. Start developing young guys to replace the old guys. Season 3 through 6 is going to be a good, huge year for you to figure out what to do with this team, but they're going to be good.
Yeah, I think the cap could be a problem. It's going to be a tough division, I think, with the 4 teams. Now, obviously, the AFC North this year was anything but a tough division, but I expect that to change. And I got to agree with Faz. You got to get something for Kareem Hunt. I think Woods tried for 3 seasons and then let him walk for nothing. So, moving on, we got the Ravens. Ravens will be the number 2 team in the AFC North. What do you think about them, Prime?
Yeah, a strong defense right off the top. You've got guys like Marlon Humphrey, solid cornerback. Campbell getting a little old. You got Marcus Peters. You got some good guys on defense. I didn't check, but Tucker, typically a superstar kicker. That does make a difference. I don't care what people say. It makes a difference. Obviously, Lamar, 96 speed, 92 throw power. He's a running back, playing quarterback. We all know it. They're just as good as they were last year. Hollywood Brown, what is it? He's entering his second year now, second year? Third. So his development isn't going to go as quick now for Hollywood Brown, but still he's fast as can be. You can hit him. I like the team. I don't think it'll be a top 5 Madden team. I think depending on the league, it would be a top 5 Madden team. But here in the SML, I don't see the Ravens going in the top 5.
Okay, I've actually got them at number 10 to Figs. What do you think about that spot there for them, Dan?
That's a good spot. One of the things I was going to say about the Ravens, because they're actually going under the radar for kind of elite teams. No one's really kind of talking to them, but they really have kind of elite players. They're every bit as good as some of these top teams. The danger with the Ravens, you've got to be the right owner to take them. If you're a guy that struggles a little bit with running the quarterback, or you can't kind of control yourself as far as how much speed he has, you could get yourself into trouble with some of the rules and just some of the annoyances, and so you got to be really disciplined to handle Lamar. You should use him because that's the nature of the game, but don't try to abuse him. So Figs might be a good guy with that. I don't think Figs would abuse Lamar in that sense, but if you're going to take this team, you have to think that way through. Across the board, they're good. You need a pass rush. Again, not a very good pass rushing team there. But secondary is fine, and offensive weapons are good. Offensive line's good. So, it'll be a fun team. Again, he's another one. Watch the Lamar contract. See if he signs in the next few weeks here, and they get that into Madden before we start.
All right. Yeah, they've got a couple of 89 speed user linebackers that would be pretty good. But Faz, what would you do with them day one?
It's interesting. This is a team that I feel like it's talked about among the elite teams. I've never quite seen it. I'm not a huge fan. Obviously, Marquise Brown is a monster. He's 97. The development, honestly, doesn't even matter when he's got 97 speed. And Lamar somehow has like 96 throw power, which seems a little wrong. But you can scramble around, launch it to Marquise, and if they don't fix the deep zones, that could be a complete nightmare. But the defense is older, getting pretty old. They don't have a lot of young building block pieces on defense. Patrick Queen is very good. He's 89 speed, but only 79 change of direction, which seems like it's going to be a pretty big hindrance as the user continues to slow down. So I don't know. I think for me,
Faz,
with
let me
Lamar
interject in there a little. Faz, let me interject. You just said 79, right? 79 change of direction. That's actually, I think, probably in the top 15 of linebackers. So just keep an eye out on that. Linebackers have been really nerfed when it comes to the change of direction. And
Interesting.
I believe 79 should be actually one of the higher ones.
Okay. So that's, I haven't gotten a chance to really compare the stats. I've mostly just looked at them. But yes, I don't know. I don't know what it is about this team, but like even, as I'm preparing to pick 9, like if they're there, I don't even know if they'd be on my radar. You have to, inject some youth into your defense. Your secondary is definitely getting old. Your defensive line is already old. I just don't see too many like tradable pieces. You're not really super deep at many positions, I feel. Even, wide receiver, you did just add Bateman. But like Sammy Watkins is fine. I just don't see a lot of teams, banging down the door to acquire Sammy Watkins. So, right off the bat, I don't know. I don't see the hype with this team. It's a team that I think somebody takes because Lamar looks very fun. But then you get him and his passing's still a little off. He throws, errant passes. You can't, abuse the scrambles with him. Contains seem to be a little bit better. So, he's tempting. He looks really cool. His stats are great, but I'm not sure I see them as a top 10 team personally, a top 15 team.
Yeah, I think I had him more with Figs just because he's got half the Ravens now anyway. He traded for damn near everyone on the team. But so moving on, that's going to give us the Bengals as the next team in the AFC North. Again, not a team that has any extra picks, but what do you think about them, Dan?
Yeah, sorry, I was trying to verify my comment to Figs, to Fez. I'll find that out here in a second about the COD. But I was noticing earlier, just Justin Simmons was the highest linebacker at 85. Anyways,
Justin Simmons or Isaiah
talking about the
Simmons?
Bengals, right? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
The Bengals.
Yeah, Bengals.
Yeah, Bengals.
Bengals are I think, kind of a sneaky good team. The problem again comes to Joe Burrow and the 86 throw power. I mean, it's just so hard to work with a quarterback that starts out that way. It's one thing if they drop there, and I know Team Hughes did well with Russell Wilson, but Russell Wilson also had escape artists. I think that helped. So Burrow's a struggle there. Mixon's going to be a beast. Their receivers are nice. O-line's okay. Got some work there. They got a decent defense. So I think there's some nice pieces. The problem is they're probably third, fourth best in that division. You're going up against a stacked Browns team and a really good Ravens team. So you're going to struggle there in that regard. But, if I'm picking late teens, early 20s, they definitely would be on my radar. I think they're better than probably what people would first assume.
All right, so I've got them going 25 to field. What do you think about that, Faz? Do you think they fall that far?
Yeah, the Burrow thing is a little scary. They kind of dogged him, if I'm being honest. I didn't feel he deserved as low ratings as he got. I can see them going in that 20 range. They are young. You just have some work to do. You're really bad in the trenches. Your offensive line is mostly bad. Your defensive line is pretty terrible. You have Trey Hendrickson as your best kind of lineman. DJ Reader is a run stuffer, which, was very important to have this Madden. I'm not sure how important it's going to be to have next Madden. So you really don't have much of a pass rush. Your offensive line, not very good. And if you can't win in the trenches, that, generally sets you behind the 8 ball. You do have good offensive pieces. Jesse Bates is very good on defense. So you have a pretty good secondary. But you're going to have to really focus on building up your trenches, and you're going to have to do it pretty quick.
All right, so Prime, you're used to building up teams that don't have much talent because you take the Colts every year. What do you think about the Bengals?
Yeah, so Bengals are an average team, probably mid-20s. I think you got them mocked right. You got Joe Burrow, who's solid, kind of like Mac Jones. But you have Jamar Chase. You got some pieces. You got a few pieces on defense. I'm not sure how much offensive line matters this year. I haven't actually played Madden 22 at all. That said, You're going to have to fix the defensive line. You're going to have to get a few more pieces on defense. But they do have some young pieces. They got a quarterback on a rookie deal who, if you're a good player, you can dev him up. Jamar Chase is a weapon. Their cap situation isn't horrible. Yeah, just nothing that jumps off the page, though. Mid 20s is an accurate spot for them.
Okay. All right, so Faz, the last team in the AFC North, and probably I would say the third most desirable, most talented team in the division, the Steelers. What do you think about this team?
This is a team with a nice combination of older and younger guys. You can be very good right off the gate. You can definitely come out and compete. Your quarterback spot is just the biggest thing. I don't even know what Ben's ratings are. I can't even find him.
Scroll to the bottom, probably.
Yeah, there he is.
Power is like 87. I think it's not that great.
Yeah, it's not that great, and obviously at 39, he's not. Let me find Haskins in this sheet because I know Haskins was kind of sneaky good in last Madden,
but he's not really worth developing either.
He's not worth it in this one. They oh, there he is. Wow, he's really far down there. Let's find this throw power.
I think it's 88.
88. 88's not terrible. I think that's exactly what Daniel Jones has. His accuracies are not great at all. 79, 77, 76. So you probably need to get a quarterback, pretty quickly. Maybe you can survive with Ben for a season and then get somebody in the draft. Luckily for, whoever gets them, the rest of this team's good. Your receiver core is nasty. Your defense with Watt with Fitzpatrick is very good. Your defensive line is old. You're going to have to, kind of sub those guys out through each season. But Devin Bush is going to be, 90 speed, 82 change of direction. He's going to be an incredible user. So there's a lot of pieces to be very good immediately. I think you just have to be careful with, replacing players each year. You're going to have to draft pretty well. So the scouting is going to be important for this team, I think.
All right, so I've got Dan getting him at 12 prime. Think he passes on him anyway?
Yeah. Dan's been known to run in team selection drafts. We'll see who's in that division for sure. But yeah, so there's going to be some cap space that clears up on that team, though, in the middle of the cycle. As Faz alluded to with some age, Ben's going to be coming off the books. I think Cameron Hayward, if I'm not mistaken, he's a little bit older. I personally would try to shop Juju. I'd probably trade Juju. Najee Harris, rookie running back, 88 speed, but he's got 88 change of direction. And last year with Jonathan Taylor, I started off with around 80 change of direction, and I got him up to like 95. So it's actually, I don't know, it was easy to develop that last year. I don't know what it's going to be like this year, but that's a good starting point. You're going to need to find the quarterback. You're going to need to figure out the quarterback. You're going to need to dev the running back. Good news is you can dev the running back season one and hopefully get your quarterback figured out ASAP, and you'll have a solid team in place.
All right, Dan. So let's just assume you take the Steelers, which I think is probably likely. What are you going to do with them?
Well, if I don't take him, I actually think this team drops pretty far. I think they're going to be probably down to towards the actual bottom. Not the bottom five. Maybe they'll go 24, 25 range. Because if you look at this team really under the hood, it's not a great team. Obviously, Watt, Minka are the attractions. You got a few other things there too with Bush and Najee Harris, but their offensive line. I mean, they've got 3 starters, I think, under 64 overall. Which again, we say offensive line doesn't matter. It matters when they're that bad. They really their backup tight end only got, their rookie only got 80 speed. Najee Harris got 88 speed. Even Juju got 88 speed. So, Prime talks about trading them, which I would trade them too. I don't know what you're going to get for them. So there's really some bad pieces here. There's no, oops, sorry about that. Sorry, kids calling. They've got nobody in their secondary other than Fitzpatrick or Minka that can cover really. Joe Hayden's getting old. Their other guys are all 88, 87, 88 speed. So this team needs a lot of work, but it'd be fun because you do have some of those pieces. If you do smart in some trades and some reagents and some drafting, they could be a powerhouse. But you got to go into this team really having a plan. and you got to be smart in how you develop your players.
All right, so that's it for the AFC North. Moving on, we've got the Colts in the AFC South, and Prime, that just happens to fall on you. But what do you think of this Colts team?
Yeah, they're bad. Oh, they're bad. Last year they were bad. This year they're bad. Seems like they're bad every year. T.Y. Hilton no longer kind of the player that he once was. You do have some pieces. You have DeForest Buckner. Leonard is now a superstar linebacker. I know last year linebackers really, unless if you had a really, really, really good run stuffing linebacker, which Darius Leonard may be, they didn't matter a whole lot. There's kind of liabilities on the field, they're changing direction, stuff like that. Offensive line is solid, but they've paid Braden Smith. They have a lot of cap room, but Quentin Nelson's contract's coming up. He's obviously their best player. Quarterback situation, you're paying an expensive, middle-aged quarterback. Jonathan Taylor is only a star dev, I believe, and only 81 change of direction. Just a mediocre team. You have some pieces you could trade, but overall, if this team doesn't go number one, and if Mike doesn't take them, this team could be honestly a mid-20s team. They kind of remind me of the Bengals a little bit. You got a few pieces here and there that you can develop, but nothing that really jumps off the page necessarily.
All right, so what do you think about that, Dan? He says dropping down to like the 20s, like the Bengals. Where do you have this team if Prime doesn't take him and if Mike passes on him at 4?
Yeah, I think worse than that. I got them kind of in the bottom 5. I think you Texans clearly are the worst team. And then you got some arguments about the Colts, maybe the Patriots, a few other teams out there. They don't have anything sexy about this team. Jonathan Taylor, yeah, I think you can develop him. I think you can make him into a superstar stud again. But no quarterback. As Prime said, the receivers are old. No tight end. Michael Pittman Jr. is kind of worthless in Madden. I think like an 87 speed. You got one linebacker that's good. Secondary is kind of a mixed bag of some young, but nothing that's really like, yeah, I get to build this, or yeah, I can't wait to play with, Jonathan Taylor. Well, as we saw, everyone can kind of get a running back at some point. So is that really even a really fun thing to play with? So, I'm going to give Prime credit here if he does stick with his home team and develops them. He's got a long journey ahead of him, and he might have another repeat of this past cycle. But they're not a good team.
All right, so Faz, what would you do with this team if this is the team you got stuck with?
Boy, yeah, I would have to give some props to Prime. If he takes them number one, you're going to have a tough couple first seasons. The big thing is I wouldn't worry about winning very early because right now you don't have a lot of pieces to do it. I think you have to develop your young guys at pretty much all costs. Kwity Paye, you're going to have to turn into a beast. He's 22. He's got 85 speed, so he should be good. I would be really focusing on Jonathan Taylor. Marlon Mack, I'd send him straight to the shadow realm. Michael Pittman, again, like Dan said, he might be worse than useless. 87 speed, and his route running is not even good, so he doesn't even have that going for him. And it also depends on how does Madden handle the Wentz trade? Because if that takes away your first round pick, you have to do pretty much, anything you can to get a first out of this team. Pretty much nobody would be off limits for me. I would pretty much I would trade whatever I could. I think Buckner is probably untradeable. Nelson's untradeable. And Leonard, I'm sure, is untradeable. But the rest of it, I'd honestly put them all up on the block. I'd see what I can get. I would try, stocking up on picks early. We did hear that Madden kind of maybe boosted the draft classes. So I would try and hoard picks immediately. I'd use all 3 of my trades in the first season to make sure that I can do that. And then I'd kind of restart and go from there.
Yeah, I'd be curious, too, to see if anybody actually took the Colts just because Prime always takes the Colts. If it's just almost like a novelty of being the Colts the first year he doesn't.
That novelty is going to wear off pretty quick.
Yeah, but some of the guys are used to not doing so well, so I think they'd be okay with it. All right, so next team we got is the Titans. Titans going to be missing their second pick in 2022 from the Julio trade. And Dan, what do you think about this team?
Yeah, Titans are, again, I would say more middle of the road, maybe even towards the the back end of the middle of the road. They've got some nice pieces, obviously. Henry, Julio. Got a few nice pieces on defense, but age is a factor with this team. Quarterback, sorry, Tiny Titan, but Tanny's just not the answer. They've got a nice rookie cornerback, but I think he's the only one over 91 speed on their entire team. I think everyone else is 90 or below. So you got some speed issues.
Defense, right?
Yeah, defense. Yeah. Sorry. You spent a lot of money on Bud Dupree, and he's just a 28-year-old kind of average of the mill pass rusher in Madden. So, they're probably a little bit like the Steelers in the sense that there's some nice kind of exciting picks, and then you look at them under the hood a little bit, and you're like, ugh, what else is there? And so, I think they're probably back half, maybe early 20s type of quality of team.
All right, so I've got this team going number 7 to NYT. He's kind of talked about them a lot. If Prime goes Colts, and RD's already said he's following Prime wherever he goes. So that puts Colts and Texans as Prime and RD. Jags are going to probably be Woods. Do you think NYT sticks with the Titans? And if not, how far do you think they fall, Fast?
Say it again.
How far do you think they fall if NYT doesn't stick with them? And do you even think he's going to stick with them?
Yeah, I would guess that NYT sticks with them just because he's been talking about them. If it doesn't go to a Titans fan, I think this is a team just built perfectly for Matt. I know he's expressed some desire in this, but obviously him running Henry up the middle 30 times a game will be tough to stop. And the defense has enough pieces that he'll be able to turn it into something. He has a good user, so he'll be able to do some damage with that. But yeah, this is a team that like Dan said. I think outside of a couple flashy pieces, like your Henry, Jones, AJ Brown, they're missing quite a bit. Tannehill is not the answer at quarterback, and at 33, you're going to need to replace him pretty quickly. So I think for a certain style, somebody might be excited, but I think as a whole, this is a team, if they get past the Titans fans, they're going to fall pretty far.
All right, so Prime, obviously they'll probably be in your division if you take the Colts, but what would you do to help this team get competitive right out of the gate?
Yeah, it's going to be tough. You gotta get rid of Tannehill. He's got a fairly expensive contract for a mediocre quarterback that you're not going to develop that much. Henry, obviously the second best running back in the game. You're just going to have to do some halfback dives and inside zones with him. I wouldn't know much about doing that, but that's what I would do with him. And I think that they're a team just like the Colts, but they have just a few more pieces that make them exciting. They have Julio Jones. They got Derrick Henry. They got a player or two on defense. I would just get rid of the quarterback. I'd hit a reset on that right away and try to trade up, get a quarterback in the top 5, top 10, and go from there. Problem is you've got some really good players who are aging that you're going to have to replace as well, like Julio Jones. That team's going to be tough to kind of manage, honestly.
All right. So the third team in the AFC South. And Faz, what do you think about this team, the Jaguars?
Oh, I think they're going to be stellar.
It's not the way to get them to fall to you.
No, and honestly, I've kind of given up on the hope that they do. If they do, I might not even get my team pick in time because I'm going to be running around celebrating. But, this is a team that's very young. They're going to develop very well, mostly just by themselves. So if you can even add a little bit to the Devin, if you start to win quickly, CJ Henderson is unbelievable, 22, 93 speed. Sidney Jones, Shaq Griffin. So your secondary is very good. You're going to have to look into safety. Rayshawn Jenkins is fine, but 27. And then, at free safety, they've got next to nobody. So you're going to have to look into, just kidding. You have Cisco. I forgot about him. So you make sure you develop Cisco, but you're going to need to get a strong safety. Your offense is pretty much ready to roll. I would waste no time with James Robinson. I would ship him out if anybody wants him. If not, I'd use him strictly on the goal line. Just use Etienne, from the outset. Don't bother with, the higher overall Robinson. 86 speed is going to be brutal. So, I'd put the ball in the air a good bit. You have, young wide receivers to develop with Chenault and with Shark. So this is a team, I don't think you have to add too much to them. you could probably, use some draft capital and maybe add a win now piece if you feel that, you're somebody who can make a playoff run, just because you are so young that those draft picks are not going to be super important. If you can use them to grab somebody from one of these older teams looking to get younger, I would, jump at that opportunity. But as a whole, this is going to be a team that, you can do a lot of damage with.
All right, Prime. I've got Woods taking him at number 4. Do you think there's any way he passes on this team?
No way. Trevor Lawrence is a superstar quarterback. He's got good speed. His throwing attributes are good. ETN, I would trade. I wouldn't even give the other running back the ball at the goal line. Just dev up freaking ETN. They've got some solid receivers. Even Philip Dorsett. I mean, he's a bum, but he's fast. You got Tim Tebow in there making plays. I mean, the team is just loaded, and the way Jacksonville has been set up for years is in Madden anyway, they're set up to develop very nicely. And now, yeah, in Madden. In real life, who's to say if they'll ever reach their potential? But this team is set up. Now, I think they can win now a little bit. I think that they on defense they have the attributes in the right place where they can win now, and then come year 3. That team's going to be good, unless if Woods gets so sick of Trevor Lawrence that he sends him to the Colts or something.
Oh, I'm sure that's possible. You'll be in his DMs trying to get him.
Woods, if you even think about trading Trevor, if I'm not the first call, I'm going to absolutely flip tables.
Don't worry, Woods. It's an online game. They'd be at his own house. So, Dan, what would you do with this team if you were to get them day one?
I'd probably call up Faz and just have a 5-hour talk about every player on the team, like we just had here a few minutes ago. No, I'm just kidding.
Right,
I know you love that team. I'm not sure why they haven't won much, but I would just develop the young guys. I wouldn't make very many moves. I wouldn't, have to play around with it. I would just look at all those guys, develop the young guys, and just sit back and kind of enjoy a little bit like what I did with the Broncos the first few seasons. It's like, you don't got to mess with this team. You can look ahead and maybe add a few pieces here and there. But again, second, third rookies, that's all they are. And so just sit back, enjoy the team. Woods, do not trade your players. Just play them and develop them.
Turn to me.
All right. So the last team and probably the least exciting team maybe in the game, Prime, we got the Texans. What do you think about this team? It sounds like it may even be going to RD.
Yeah, first of all, that's not happening. Like, let's be real. This Texans team is bad. Nobody is going to willingly join a division like that, especially with Deshaun Watson. I don't know what EA was thinking with that. Watson was the top 5 quarterback last year. I think that, not to get on a rant, he's the top 5 player. They've left him as a star dev, is what my understanding is.
Yep.
And that's just not the case. So the one bright spot you had on your team is now a little more dim. What just a grim option you are to take the Texans. But hey, you're in the SML. You're probably going to get steamrolled by the Jaguars and possibly Colts twice or 4 times a season. What would you rather have?
All right, Dan. So let's say RD, or I know you'd mentioned taking them at 12. If they end up falling past RD at 22, how far down do you think they go?
Yeah, there's only one reason to take this team, and that's because you want to go after Prime, and you want to be able to have the medal on your chest that you took the worst possible team and you developed them with 0 expectations. So you just have to be highly arrogant, got to be cocky, you got to have a plan, and you want to chase down Prime. That's it. No point looking at this team. Watson is a star. You got a nice safety. That's it. Even the rookies stink. No one's on that team is worth developing or playing. You've got to start over. You got to lose probably 2 or 3 seasons in a row and get the draft picks, and then you can build that team up afterwards. But any good player, they don't want to lose 2 or 3 seasons in a row. So what do? Because even I thought about taking them, but then I'm thinking, okay, even if I can win 500, that doesn't help me develop this team. So it's just they're just a bad team. So unless you're chasing Prime, you don't even look at that team, and they just get stuck to whoever's 32.
All right, Faz. What would you do if, I don't know, you go over the top on your Super Bowl celebration and you end up at 32? What are you gonna do with this Texans team besides maybe just drop down to Primer?
Oh man, yeah, There's at first I have to agree with Prime. I don't think there's any shot Artie takes this team. There's nothing here to be excited about. The reset button has to be hit pretty much immediately. You might even consider trading Watson, honestly, just because that's going to get you the best return. I think Cooks has to go immediately. I think if Tunzel isn't superstar, he has to go immediately. But I'm looking up and down this list of players here, and I see like one potentially intriguing person in Keon Crossan, who's a 95 speed, 25-year-old cornerback that I've never heard of before. So
25 is too old.
20, yeah, and 25 really isn't even that good. So like we're really grasping at straws here. This team is terrible. They were, my 32 before, the Watson Bain star came out, and once it came out that Watson was star, I'm not even sure I would take them at 32. I would just not say anything and just be stuck with them. There's so little to do here. You really do have to just make yourself as bad as possible and lose. You have to hoard some draft picks and just give this team any just injection of life. A good player getting this team is probably the worst thing for them, because you're going to win too many games. 5 wins, 6 wins with this team is probably too many, because then you're not picking in the top 3, top 5. So it only hurts you to take this team and win games.
The best hope for this team is KJ takes them over, uses them for 2 seasons, he retires, and somebody comes in and picks them up season 3.
That's not a bad idea. You're talking about
and just does their time in purgatory until next map.
So you actually brought up a really good point that I didn't even think about, because I forgot he went down to star. But what do you guys think about trading Watson? This team almost would look better if you did trade Watson.
Yeah, you could get a king's ransom for Watson if you look around the league. There's probably 6 to 8 good teams out there that's just missing a quarterback. And if you dangle Watson out there and you do it well, you don't do it tiny way of just taking the first offer, but you put it out there, you bid people against each other. I could see 2 firsts and a player just because he's that talented, minus the dev grade that he got.
Yeah, just off the top of my head, I'm thinking you could go with like a team like the Giants that has a bunch of first round picks. They picked up some extra picks, and Daniel Jones is not that good. If you had Deshaun Watson with Barkley and Ross and Galladay and Evan Ingram, that would be a really good offense.
Well, yeah, Bomber, you're bringing up a good point too that I think everyone needs to kind of pay attention to. When you look across the board, how many teams need a quarterback after the first season? Because there's only so many rookies. And so if you're one of those teams, and I think the number is higher than you realize, 6 or 8 was probably too low. I think you're talking about 10 or 12. You look at old vets, you look at bad ratings, you're talking about going into season 2 with 10 teams needing a quarterback. Man, that's going to be a struggle. So if you're not good at developing a quarterback, or you think, I'm just going to get a quarterback, in the draft, as we've said a few times here, there's going to be a lot of competition for that, and you've got to really think that through. Do I want to compete with, Prime trying to get a quarterback in Indianapolis, or someone else trying to get a quarterback? It's going to be a struggle.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so let's move on to the NFC West or AFC West, and obviously going to the AFC West, first team we got to talk about is Prime's. Whoever gets the Chiefs, but and so we'll start with I guess we'll start with Prime, since you may want this team. What do you think about the Chiefs?
They're a solid team, man. They got Mahomes, they got Hill, who's a freak. Mecole Hardman. I think the knock on the Chiefs, because we can highlight their obvious strengths. The knock on the Chiefs is going to be finding a way to manage that defense and some of those contracts. I think that a lot of times in the team selection draft, a mediocre player and even worse team builder takes the Chiefs, and they fall apart. I think it's going to take a very strong team builder if this team's going to last throughout the cycle. But anytime you have Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek Hill and Mecole Hardman for at least 5 seasons altogether, 4 seasons altogether, you're going to have a shot to really run the table.
Yeah, that's going to be a really good offense. So Dan, I've got them at number 8 to Coop, which seems insanely low for this Chiefs team to go, but just looking at the way everything falls, I think he may be the first realistic person to take him if they don't go number one. What do you think about that? And do you even think they make it to Coop at 8?
Yeah, this is one of those teams where you have to try to look for the weaknesses because they're not obvious. The strengths are so strong. If we were playing in a kind of a real competitive sense, like I have to win type real NFL situation, everyone would want the Chiefs because they're just so good. Mahomes is so good. Coop at the 8th spot is probably just because of the fatigue of them being so good. No one kind of really is like, oh, I don't want to take a good team and do really well. But I think 8 is way too high. The one thing you could look at and say the other 3 teams in this division are going to be good too. Chiefs, Broncos, Raiders, and the Chargers are all a good. That's a good division. I think them, the NFC West, maybe the NFC East. Those are the kind of the top 3 across the board type divisions that you're going to get some really good owners there. So maybe you don't want to have to deal with that. But really, you're just kind of picking nits at this point. They're just a great team across the board.
All right, Fast. So you had the Chiefs, I think, you said in Dan's league this cycle. What would you do with this team?
Yeah, I had the Chiefs for 15 minutes in Dan's league before they all got super cheesy and decided to do a fantasy draft after like 3 seasons.
That's what happened in the playoffs when we met there.
You cheesed the heck out of me with human joystick. This guy, I mean, if you think that, what's that?
I didn't have it at that point. Come on now, tell the truth. That was before that.
Was that before the human joystick?
Yeah.
Oh, it was the snow game. I couldn't see anything. I threw like 15 picks and lost.
Oh, that's the excuse. Snow game.
Yeah, I mean, I just said I threw 15 picks. I mean,
there is one way to settle this. You could go in the same division next cycle. Just saying. But
yeah, no, for sure.
What do you think about the Chiefs? What would you do?
Yeah, the Chiefs team is they're a lot of fun. That's for sure. They have holes that I don't think are obvious because you just look at Mahomes and Hill and Honey Badger and you're like, oh, this team's incredible. And you don't realize that, your pass rush is not actually that good. Your linebackers are relatively terrible. So, they're not quite as, set and forget as I think some people might think they are. So that's something to keep in mind with them. You do have to be active. You have to be willing to trade some players.
Maybe release like a Travis Kelce or something.
Yeah, or just cut him for nothing. That works too. No, I would be prepared to trade Travis Kelce, honestly. He's 31 already. Obviously, he's 99. Wait for a little bit of regression. You can still use him for a couple seasons, but we go 7-8 seasons. So, be ready to move on from him. Be ready to move on from Frank Clark. But as long as you're willing and prepared to do that, and honestly, maybe I'm crazy, might be the only person to do it, I would trade Mecole Hardman. I would move him for some defense or some picks to try and balance out your team. You just don't need that much speed with Hill, obviously, on the other side. So, be ready to make moves. They're not quite as set and forget as you might think they are, but, anything after the
what's better than having 198 speed receiver?
Having like 3.
Having 2 of them. Okay, come on, man. You don't want to trade him. You want to have fun with him.
I mean, you can use him for a season and then trade him. But
I just can't get him to superstar. You won't be able to trade him.
Exactly. That's the thing, is you get him to superstar, you're locked in. He's young enough that you have him.
Oh no, you're locked in with Mecole Hardman.
I'm just saying, I had the Chiefs, I would trade him.
The thing is, you're not just locked into him. You've then got to re-sign him for whatever he wants, because otherwise you got to let him walk.
Exactly. So I'm telling you, it's not quite as straight up as people think they are with the Chiefs.
It's not hard to have 3 X factor wide receivers on your roster the whole cycle. You can
when somebody cuts Kelce, so you can add guys like that for nothing. But moving on. So Dan, this is actually the team I think might be probably the top team in that AFC West, the Chargers. What do you think about this team?
Yeah, they're a top 5 team across the board. They're falling to the Browns kind of category as both a good blend of young with also veteran superstar type players that are going to change the game. So you obviously got the quarterback, the young quarterback there. You've got, the defense with Bosa and James, the X factor defense there. You got the linebackers that are good. Receiver is one area that needs some attention. Tight end needs attention. Offensive line needs attention, but Eckler's good. So I expect them to go early. I expect them to fall right in the Browns kind of category where you should have high expectations right off the bat, potential to win a Super Bowl early, and then also if you're wise in how you play it, this could run the whole cycle. So, this would be only one of the reasons why you maybe don't take the Chiefs, because you got to deal with a Chargers owner. I don't know if I would necessarily think that way, but some people might, because the Chargers are that good, and I think they're going to be picked really early.
All right. And you said you don't think that way, but what if Prime takes the Chiefs? Then maybe you run from the Chargers.
Yeah, he keeps wanting to think that, but I'll let him play his narrative.
All right. So Faz, Chargers. Dan said he thinks they're one of the top teams, right up there with the Browns. I've actually got him going number 3 to Mike FML. He seems to say that he doesn't want the Chargers, and the reasons he gives make no sense. But he says he wants like a quarterback that'll last the cycle, and
That's like most of Mike's
that
reasons.
seems like that's Herbert right there. But regardless, I have him going number 3 to Mike. What do you think if he doesn't take them at 3? How far does this team fall? And maybe with
I
this,
can tell you
the
right
team
now, they
you're
wouldn't
looking
fall
at,
past me.
that's what I thought.
Yeah, this team is very good. I think you'd be nuts to pass on them. Justin Herbert has got to be one of the best young quarterbacks in the game. He's young. You're still on his rookie deal. He's got good throw power. He's got good accuracies. He's 84 speed. He's everything you could want in a quarterback to start your cycle. Your defense, obviously, Dan just highlighted it. They're stellar. Your wide receivers, honestly, I don't think are that big of an issue. Everybody looks at 88 speed for Keenan Allen, 89 for Mike Williams. But if route running is what I personally think it's going to be, I don't think that's going to be an issue for you. It seems that guys are really generating separation off these cuts. The player movement really changes the way that these receivers run their routes. So I think the big body guys, the guys that can run routes, are going to be very, very good to have. And then even if you are worried about speed, you have Jalen Guyton, who's 24. He has 93 speed. You're going to be able to develop him. Your only thing is, actually, no, Eckler's really good. Yeah, no, I can't think of anything that you would really want to add. Maybe offensive line. You probably need to work in the trenches a little bit. Balaga's your best guy, and he's pretty old. Same with Lindsley.
And talking about the speed,
You don't have to worry about receivers, but you definitely need someone that can take the top off. So that's an area where you want to add. What's that?
You got Guyton. You're good. Guyton can move. 93 speed. I'm good with 93.
93 is not take off the top man.
you're
speed.
forgetting
That's
Dan
nice
is
speed.
used to like 37 X Factor receivers. So
Yeah, exactly.
You need at least one that can be 95 higher, so you can take off the top.
you go ahead and take the Steelers and see how the rest of us live, because we don't all have all those X Factors.
I mean, give the Dolphins guy a call. He's got all sorts of speed everywhere.
he
Give
does.
him a call. See what you can get.
But kind of
Go
what
get
you
me
were
Paul
talking about
Hardman.
with the speed. You were in the stream yesterday when I was playing the trial, and Allen Robinson, not a fast guy at all, but he was getting 5 to 10 yard separation just on some of these routes. Now maybe that gets patched because it was partially the zones, but it definitely looks like speed may not be the big thing. So Prime, if you got this Chargers team, what would you do?
Yeah, it's one of those teams, kind of like the Jaguars, like the Browns. You just pick it up and you play your games, and you don't trade your assets. Maybe you trade for a receiver, but you've got the guys in play. You got your quarterback. You've got Bosa. You got a solid running back, a good safety. You really, at all levels of your team, you have at least one solid player who can make a difference. The problem with this team is the division. Like all the other AFC West teams, you're going to play the Chiefs twice a year. Do you want to play Mahomes, Hill? You got the Raiders, who obviously have some weapons outside. I don't know. That's the big question, but they're easily, I think, a top 5 Madden team. I think they were last year, and they fell in the team selection draft, and I think they are again.
Yeah, I definitely think they're one of the best teams in this division. So the next team, not necessarily one of the best teams in this division. We got the Raiders. If you go to the Chiefs, I assume RD's going to try and go to the Raiders. If you go to the Chiefs, he may not be able to chase you in divisions, because the Raiders, I think, could go even higher than 22. But what do you think about this Raiders team, Faz? We talked about speed with the Chargers. This is definitely a team that doesn't have that issue.
No, not at all. You've got a 90 speed tight end. You've got a 98 speed wide receiver. You've definitely got some pieces here. This is a team that could be interested in quarterback. I don't know how Derek Carr is going to play. I've personally never been a Derek Carr fan myself. Running backs are slow. Oh, Kenyon Drake's 91. I guess it's okay, but he's 27. So, Jacobs with 87 speed. You have to see how that's going to play. You are going to need to add some defense, it looks like. Casey Hayward, your best player on defense, he's 31. Your middle linebacker after that with 80 speed is not going to be much of an asset. So you're definitely going to need to, do a little bit on defense. I forgot they got Ngakoue. He could be nice. I think this is a team that kind of falls in that Bengals territory where you've got some nice young assets that are exciting, and then you've got some other pieces that are big holes. So it's kind of a hit or miss. I don't know if they fall to RD just because of how enticing Henry Ruggs is. So we'll see about that. I can see them in the late teens.
Yeah, I was actually surprised how early they went this past draft, and I guess I was probably the second most surprised person because it seemed like one other guy was a little more surprised than me. But this is a team I actually have dropping all the way to 22 to RD. Do you think they fall to him prime, or do you think somebody does scoop this team up early?
Yeah, I think that with the Raiders, they kind of have a cult following. They have a lot of Raiders fans. Just people like taking the Raiders in Madden. They like speed. They have some talent. I think that let's say I take the Chiefs, I would be possibly trying to get to the AFC West for a specific reason. I don't think a lot of people would pick at least the Raiders. I don't think they're necessarily the favorite team outside of look at somebody like the Chargers as an opposite team maybe. But you've got talent outside. Your running backs are solid. I just don't think it's a great team. Probably a middle of the road in between 15 and 20 team, which is right where they'll probably get drafted.
All right, so Dan, if you got the Raiders, what would you do with this team?
Raiders are one of my little sleeper teams. Just because of Ruggs, because of Waller, and actually Derek, I almost said David. Derek Carr is rated better than he should be. He's 91 throw power, mid 80s across the board. The other sneaky thing about the Raiders is they have three 90 speed linebackers. They're not great, but they could be devved. They could be usered. There's a little sneaky factor with them there. So this is a team that I think can surprise people in the fact that you can win now with them, with the offensive talent they have, with the speed on defense, and you can also build. So I would have them in the middle, but on the upper side of the middle. I'd have them more around like 12, maybe 15 range, because I think there's actually some pretty fun pieces you can play with here.
Okay. All right, Prime. So the next team and final team in the AFC is going to be the Broncos. We talked about a team that could use a quarterback and move in Watson. This team with Watson would be probably one of the best teams in the game. What do you think about this Broncos team?
Yeah, their defense is stout. They got Von Miller, maybe a little old in some places, but they've got some solid receivers. Obviously, we've seen what they can develop into. We've seen Madden 21. You get a good quarterback. I think that the goal is if you do get somebody like Watson, you keep your superstar quarterback and you have them throughout the cycle. I think that would help you a lot with some other pieces. If Watson's available, if Watson's there, man, you trade everything. You get your quarterback and you go. I think the biggest problem, you're playing the Chiefs and you're playing the Chargers. Both of those teams twice a year.
Yeah, I could definitely see where the rest of the AFC West kind of scares you off. So this Broncos team, and I got to look to see where I even have them going because I think I had them falling pretty far, if I remember right. That can't be right. That's got to be way far. I don't even see where I have them actually. Hopefully, I put them in the mock draft. There it is. To Colt at 20. What do you think about that, Dan? You think Colt would even take him?
Yeah, I was looking to unmute my button. I was so mad at Prime taking a shot at me there. I actually hung up, so sorry about that.
Yeah, I saw that.
Anyhow, I think this is again a good team, a really good team to develop. I don't have them top 5 because all the rookies that they had last year are now second year, so they're just a year older, but they're still they're still a good young team. They added a really good cornerback, a young quarterback, and they have all their pieces there. You just have to take care of the quarterback problem, and this team would be good. So I've got them in my top 10. But you've got to be like Prime said with the Dolphins, and I agreed with what he said about you got to be the right owner to take them. You got to be the one that can use the pieces that they have. So if you're a run first team or you can't pass, don't take the Broncos. Take a team that can take someone that can throw, and you'll have a good team. You'd have a great defense. You can win now, and you could win in the future as well too.
All right, Faz, what would you do with this team?
I would, immediately I'd find my quarterback. I don't think Locke or Bridgewater is the answer, obviously. So, I find my quarterback. I pay pretty much whatever price it takes to get them. And then from there, you can really just focus on, supplementing your defense and adding to your defense the rest of the time. You've got some nice pieces in the secondary, Simmons, Surtain. So Von Miller should be good for at least a couple seasons. Chubb will be good for the whole cycle. So you're really well set up. Like Dan said, if you're going to run the ball, this isn't your team. But if you can get your quarterback quick and you can from there just develop your offense because the receivers are gonna develop for you, and then you just continually add to your defense. You jump on some free agents, you make some good draft picks. This is a team that's going to be good the whole cycle.
All right, so that's going to do it for the AFC.